My dear brothers and sisters upstairs, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May I, inshallah, with all of you, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has enabled us to live until this Ramadan. Let us not take it for granted. There are so many of our brothers and sisters who were with us last year, but they are no longer with us. There are some who were with us last year and they are with us, but their health condition is not enabling them to do what they have done in the previous years. Therefore, a Muslim should never take things for granted. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you try to count the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can never count them. One of the great blessings is for somebody to have been extended his life, his health, and all his situation to be able to fast this month of Ramadan and do all other type of ibadah. We should fast Ramadan as it is said. If you pray Salatul Muwadda, as if that is your last prayer. And this is the way we should fast Ramadan, as if this is our last Ramadan in our life, because things are not at our hands. So that rather than we regret later, let us maximize, my dear brothers and sisters. With that being said, inshallah, this month of Ramadan, I have decided to choose a certain topic, which will be actually, I'll be talking about Ummahatul Mu'mineen, the mothers of the believers. Why have I chosen this? I'll talk more about it later, but today I will just mention a few points. I have been talking for the last 2 or 3 years on quite a number of topics. A year before last, I talked about Al-Ashara Al-Mubashsharuna Bil-Jannah, the 10 great Sahabas who were given glad tidings by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the Prophet, of course, through Allah, and because the Prophet لا ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى, he doesn't talk on himself, but rather than what he has received from Allah as a wahy, that these 10 people will enter paradise. And I mentioned why I did talk about them. One of them is that people don't know the virtues of some of these Sahaba. And the propaganda is so much against a lot of them. So at least if we try to talk about them, then people understand them better and we take them as qudwa. We have been talking last year about the 4 A'imma, the 4 important Muslim jurists, Al-Imam Abi Hanifa, Al-Imam Malik, Al-Imam Shafi, Al-Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal radiallahu anhum ajma'in, for the same reason, so that we take them as qudwa. Now I have decided, I don't remember, I've been talking this mosque for maybe for quite a number of years, I can't remember, 15 or more, in this occasion, but I have never hardly arranged to talk about things which pertain to women. And that was a mistake from myself. And I thought it is high time most of us also talk. The reasons are just so many. First, these are Sahabiyat, Ummahatul Mu'mineen. They are our mothers as far as Qur'an is concerned. I will talk about the quotation in other lectures, inshallah. And these are qudwa, first to the ladies and to us also. And again, majority of these that we're going to say also, just like the Ashara Mubashsharuna Bil-Jannah, they have been given glad tidings that they will enter paradise. And the propaganda against them is just so much. Just the other day, when I was choosing this topic, I said, Subhanallah, let me just Google and see. Makan al-Mar'a fil Islam and all other issues. Then I saw just a hymn, the difference between Muslim women and Christian women. I said this could be interesting, it will increase my knowledge. I will look at the other side. And subhanAllah, if I did not persevere, I would not have been able to finish that program. But I said, as a da'iyah, And I wouldn't even mention the name specifically so that people go into it, because it was very nasty talk. It is a program by a Christian trying to talk about Islam and actually talk about all the things in a wrong way, to show that Islam is the one actually which has oppressed women. Now, for our sisters and even our brothers, if we are not familiar with the position of women in Islam and Ummahat al-Mu'minin, what will be the outcome? And there are some people, by the name of Islam, by the name of some of the sect of Islam, their only interest and enjoyment is to talk ill about the Sahaba. And some of them is Ummahat al-Mu'minin, Aisha, Hafsa, and others. If we don't talk about them, who will understand this situation? I'm not saying with all great respect, some of you are much more learned than me, but at least I will remind you, and others will be able to know. Yes, it is important to talk about other issues. I have talked in this mosque about Qur'an and this area. But my dear brothers, the important thing for somebody to look at the issues which are not really comprehended extensively by a lot of other people. And again, some people will tell me at times, and they have the right, and I agree to any advice. When I was talking about the Imam, the four of them, Sheikh, this is too academic. There's nothing academic. It's not a mosque from a village, from Lamu, where I come from, with all my due respect, or from Garissa, or from other. This is a mosque in the city, and the people who attend this mosque are intellectuals, the majority of them. Most of them are qualified, whether they have degree or not, they have a lot of exposure. It is high time that we feel that we know we need the intellectual talk. The Qur'an, a lot of people are giving the tafsir. If you are interested, I give the tafsir all the time, not just Ramadan, for in English translation and the Swahili translation. But let us try to see where people fight us, so that we keep our ummah ready to challenge those people who are challenging us. This is what I wanted to say with all of my humility, that this is my opinion, I may be wrong. To give you a story, one day, one of the Shuyukh al-Allama Yusuf al-Qardawi, in his book Al-Ibadah fi Islam, when I was reading it about maybe 15 years ago or so, he was saying, in a mosque in Qahira, he gave a talk on the 17th Ramadan about Ghazwat Badr. I'm sorry I came out of the topic, but it's okay. That's what I intend at times. I take this opportunity to talk the things which I feel people should know. Not necessarily also sticking so much just on the Ummahat al-Mu'minin, because if somebody wants to Google, he can easily get them also. We talk about that and whatever we think it's important for people to know. After giving the talk about Rasul, but he's a good speaker, I've listened to him so many times. One of the sheikhs or the sheikh of the mosque told him, Ya Sheikh, Alhamdulillah, you gave a very good talk about Ghazwat Badr. But had you talked about more important things than Ghazwat Badr? Sheikh told him, yes, Sheikh, what do you think, like what? He said, like talking about Tahara, how to perform ablution, and if you don't have water, how do you tayammum, how to start actually the prayer and Arkan, Salat and all that. So he told him, Sheikh, do you know how many verses talk about Tahara and all that, including the verse of Janaba and others? There are 2 verses you have in the Qur'an. Do you know how many chapters whose name entail the issue about the jihad? And he started counting. Surah Al-Tawbah is because of this. Surah Al-Anfal is because of this. Surah Muhammad or Surah Al-Qital is because of this. Surah Al-Hashr and so many others. And he said, I'm not telling you how many verses they are. Had we then taken the proportion of what has been mentioned in the Quran and we put our emphasis, but maybe he said, with all my due respect, he said, these are the sheikh at times, and I'm not underestimating any sheikh, but everybody has got his own views, and everybody is writing his own way, who would like to talk about those things in places like this, and talk perhaps the whole month of how you go to the toilet, and how you perform ablution, and how you do the istinja, and all that, and the ummah are having a lot of That is important. You can't pray without that. But if you look at the Quran, you can do it in a very simple way. That's why there are only 2 verses. Sorry, my brothers, this thing comes from my heart. I just have to share with you. I may be wrong, but I think, inshallah, let us continue with this, and we will see, inshallah, first. I will change myself, because I don't read this thing so seriously, unless when I know that I'm going to talk about them. My first talk today, I've already used a lot of time, so I may not be able to finish that. What I was intending to talk, and I'll finish the other day, first I may explain to the brothers, I'm sorry, tomorrow and day after, I've tried my level best, but under unavoidable circumstances I have to be abroad, but inshallah Wednesday I will be with you. I was trying to talk about the biography of the mothers of believers, that will be the theme, but today to talk about the status of women in the world before the coming of Prophet Muhammad. I mentioned a bit women in various other societies, so that when we talk about Islam, we can see the difference. Umar ibn al-Khattab, one day he said, the person who doesn't know and hasn't gone through Jahiliyyah will never understand the virtues of Islam. Because he knew he has been in the Jahiliyyah before he became a Muslim, and now he sees Islam, he sees the difference. So let us try very briefly, and perhaps finish the same topic next week, try to see very quickly women before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How were they treated? And then we will come and talk about women in Islam, not at the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the women in Islam according to Qur'an before the coming of Prophet Muhammad. And then we will talk about Hawa, Hawa, who is the mother of all of us, just like Adam is the father of all of us. And then I talk about Ismail, the mother of Ismail, how much difficulty she went through and what she did to Ismail. And then, inshallah, I talk about Musa, who actually looked after Musa and the father was not even being mentioned. And then I talk a bit about Isa, alayhi salam, how on herself she was able to bring up Isa. And then Muhammad, the mother of Prophet Muhammad, because we know that she was yatim and he never saw his father. And then we come to the mothers of the believers. And we take, inshallah, one by one and talk quite a bit about them. And finally, inshallah, we would have finished. If time will allow us, I will go through other women. If you talk or look at the women in ancient Greece, Greece, as we know, in the Western world, is a country which is assumed to have civilized and reach a very high level of civilization, much more than any other country in Europe. But what was their way they were treating women? As usually in other countries around that time, they were treated like slaves or maids. They believed all the calamities are brought up by the women. And this you will see something which is shared by so many. We'll talk about the Jews, they think of the same. We'll talk about the Christians, they think of the same. And the Jews and the Christian is there in the Bible, how they talk about Hawa, that all the evils came from Hawa, and that Hawa is the one who really influenced Adam to eat the tree which it was forbidden, and because of that she was cast, and so many others. So the Greeks were the same. They believed in the same. They took Cupid to be one of the gods, and they called him God of Love. And this Cupid, which they called God of Love, there was a woman who was taken as the wife of that God of Love. And this woman was actually supposed to be serving 3 gods, and just one woman. And then she did an illegal relationship with another person, and the child they got is Cupid. And this is God of Love. Now that just shows them how much immorality was in their own type of belief. And definitely they were treating women in a very bad way. And and they were just thinking that God of love, this is a product of immoral behavior, then definitely the behavior will not be the best. If we look at the women in the Roman Empire, they were no different. Its systems and rules were very cruel to women, and men had all the power, and men could do anything to women even because of few mistakes they can even give them. Women, after some time, they were given some liberty, but that liberty was just to sell themselves and practice prostitution. So that was the situation in the Roman Empire in the olden days. Divorce was so easy and often that one will be able to be judged his age by the number of wives he marries, and the woman will be judged by the number of husbands he has been divorced from. It is said one of the writers, and he said that there was a lady whose last husband was the 23rd, and the last wife was, the lady was the 23rd, and for her, the husband was the 21st wife. So this was the Roman Empire. That is, women had no power whatsoever, and divorce was a very easy thing to be done. And we're going to see that in the Arab world before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Women in ancient Persia, they were not different, and they were allowed to be married by Zarathustra, a certain group of people only. In the ancient China, the issue was more or less the same. Very primitive society, and you would only have the children, the women, the children, they were known, their mother is so and so, but their fathers are not known because there are no proper marriages. Women in ancient India, it was more or less the same, and it was worse. To the extent that if a husband dies, you know that majority of them believe in burning the dead body, the woman will be also burned with the husband even though she hasn't died. And this practice was only stopped by the coming of the Muslim in India by Al-Malik Saleh al-Naqvi, who made sure that people who burn the women will be punished severely. The ancient Jewish society, they treated women badly. Remember I said, if you look at the Old Testament, the Bible, and you read the story of Adam and Eve and how they have eaten the forbidden tree, or the fruit of the forbidden tree. For us, as we're going to explain it in Islam, inshallah, this will be another lecture, we believe that both of them, they made a mistake. And we believe that both of them seek forgiveness. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا, both of us, we have actually transgressed ourselves. We did a mistake, but in the Jewish belief, and that is taken by the Christian because they believe in the Old Testament, all the mistakes are being bounded, all of it to Eve, to Hawa, that she is the one who influenced. And then you will see that once they have eaten that, then the woman was cursed, and because she was cursed, she will have a problem and pain when she is delivered. She will be only desiring to have a man, and she will be controlled by men, and all those issues. In Islam, we are going to talk about it briefly to know before we talk about Ummahat al-Muslimin. That was not the situation. The Christians, as I said earlier, it is the same story. In fact, there's a lady who is a French lady in 1814, not now. She was a very good writer. She could not publish, it's called Amandine Louise Aurore. She couldn't publish her book because her name is a woman. So she had to get the name of the man who was literally called George's son to pretend that book is his so that it is accepted to be published, and this is in 1814. Our women were in that Sayyidatuna Aisha and others have reported ahadith so many times have been teaching people so many times, have been leading even the army in the Battle of Jamal. And this was 14 centuries ago. Finally, the women in the Arabian Peninsula in the Jahiliyyah time, before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know how they were. If you look at their nikah, they are not nikah except one type. Aisha explained it in the Sahih al-Bukhari that there were 4 types of nikah. I'm just not going to talk about them so much because time doesn't allow me. One nikah was the ordinary one. The other ones will see that it is just like prostitution. That was the way. If you look at talaq, they had no number. You will give talaq whatever way you want, and then you return to the person, to the lady. If you look at the bihar, that you say that the woman is like the back of the mother, and then you just leave her like that, you don't divorce her, neither do you enjoy with her. If you look about the issue of ilah and the li'an and all that, that you make a yameen, that you will never enjoy with your wife for over 4 months, and you will continue for more. That's over 4 months, that's the issue about Islam. And if you look at the women themselves, they could be killed as girls because of any other reason, as it is said in the Qur'an, that if any of the women sees that, if any of the men sees that, وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِالْأُنْثَى ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. When one is given the news that you have got a baby girl, then the face turns to be dark, وهو كظيم, suppressing his anger. أيمسكه على هون أو يدسه في التراب ألا ساء ما يحكمون. Does he just retain and keep and stay with the girl with all the humiliation and distress from people, or does he put that girl into a grave and bury her alive? As it says, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنبٍ قُتِلَتْ, they will kill the girls. And this is even a story which Umar was saying, one time he will be laughing, he say something, and sometimes he will be crying. And when he was asked, he said, I'm crying, remembering how I buried my daughter in the Jahiliyyah. And I'm laughing, remembering that I was carrying my God made up of tunnel, of this, and then I became very hungry and I started picking the hand, the leg, and until I finished all of it. This very briefly, my dear brothers and sisters, is the situation of women in various societies during the time, ancient time, until the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, our next lecture we will talk about women in Islam before we come to Ummahat al-Muslimin. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.